Hi everyone. In today's video, we are going to be showing you guys how to set up a Wireguard server on an EdgeMax router. This is going to be a walkthrough. As you can see here, I got 4 CLI sessions, 1 command line, 3 SSH, and I'm going to be more or less copying and pasting the commands because I've done this already and I tested it. This one right here is the Wireguard server I have, and this one here will be the one we'll be using to connect into the EdgeOS router. This is an EdgeMax 5X, I believe, and this is just pinging what would be the IP of this router over the VPN. So I've already established it's going to be 10.10.120.3. And just to give you an overview, so this is a very generic, it's I reset the machine, the router before I started this recording. The only changes I've done to it is I've added a firewall rule that will allow me to connect into the router just to make it easier. And it's just ports 80, 443, 22. But if you get this machine, if you get one of these routers off the shelf, this is what you're looking at. This is the latest firmware as of the recording of this video. And as you can see, there's nothing on this machine that would look out of place. So we'll come back to this UI screen as soon as we finish doing the install. The first thing I'll show you guys are the sites that you can go to for reference on this. So one of them is this GitHub here. It shows you what would be the latest release you would use for your version of EdgeOS. As you can imagine, different models of the EdgeOS hardware will require a slightly different package. It also provides the instructions that I'm more or less going to show you here, along with a few extras that aren't listed in here specifically. But if you're using them in a CGNAT type setup, which is what a lot of people have been asking about, these would be the slight changes you'd be doing. Okay. So definitely recommend you guys go through this document. I'll put it in the YouTube link. In the description of the YouTube video once I'm done uploading. And to get the binaries, this points you to this URL anyways, and again, I will put it in the description. This is where it tells you, so if you look at, for example, the Edge Router X or Edge Router 5, which is what this one is, it's E50. If you're using a Lite or a PoE, it's E100. So it basically gives you the map of which package you'd need from here. Okay, so again, I'm using the E50 because of the board I'm using. So let me go ahead and get started and show you guys the walkthrough. I'll come back to the browser, like I said, eventually, but that's not going to be any good right now. I do hope that Ubiquiti at some point integrates Wireguard into the EdgeMax system. I think it'd be a great improvement. I know they have another VPN, which is the IPsec, which it works, but I find that it's a little more finicky and doesn't provide as much flexibility. Anyways, so we'll come back to that in a moment. As I was saying, the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and log into the EdgeOS router itself. So I'm using the default right now, so 10.10.1.10.166, I believe. There we go. It's going to ask for the password. Again, default UBNT. All right, and there we go. So we're in the CLI. All right, the first thing that we're going to need to do is download the package. You'll capture that from the link that I've showed you guys here. And you can just right-click the link and copy link address. I already have it, but I guess I'll show you guys what to do there. So first thing is I like to download it to the temp directory. Again, you can choose to put it wherever you want. So I'm going to do curl-ol, and then the link itself. So like I said, I want E50 version 2 is the one I'm using. Copy link address, and I'm going to paste it and let that do its thing. And there we go. So it's downloaded. The next step is we need to install the package. So we are going to use sudo and then dpkg-i, which is essentially telling the system, hey, install this package I gave you and move forward. So go ahead and press enter. And it's reading the database. It's going to do the install. A little caveat for everyone. Once you've installed this and you're going to be using this to communicate to these machines, if at any point Ubiquiti pushes out, gives you an update to install and you install it, you'll just have to reinstall the Wireguard package because, again, it's not part of Ubiquiti's firmware. So just keep that in mind. All right, the next step is to generate a public and private key. All right. And that can be done with this command here. So wg, this is for Wireguard now because Wireguard's installed on this machine, genkey, and we're going to have it pipe it and output it to the wg.key file and then a wg.public. Okay. I'd even go a step further and I'd put them both in the same location. You don't need these, but I do recommend it. Auth and then wg.key. So there we go. So I press that. So now let's go to that directory and you'll see the files. There we go. So there's the both of them there. Again, I think I've said this multiple times in different videos. Don't use these keys that I show you on here. These are just for testing. You don't want to expose your system that way, and they're very easy to create. All right, so take that as a warning, one of the many I've given. And after this point, we are now ready to start configuring the EdgeOS router to add the Wireguard instance. Okay, so we're going to go and type in configure. And then when you do that within the EdgeOS CLI, we are now able to start adding the commands that'll add the stuff into the config.boot file. Again, I have already copied and pasted a whole bunch of stuff, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it in bits here, and I'll explain it as it goes through. Okay, so set interfaces Wireguard WG0. That's going to be the Wireguard instance. You can name it whatever you want. You can do WG10, 100, I don't care. And then the address that this machine is going to have is going to be 10.10.120.3. Again, you set the subnet based on what works for you and your environment. Because this machine is not the one that's the Wireguard server for all my other nodes, I'm setting it as a /32. Okay, it's the only IP it's allowed to have. All right, and then we're gonna, this one's very important if you're going to be using this Wireguard configuration for routing all the traffic behind your local network of this EdgeOS and whatever destination network you're going to be having. Route allowed IPs. So if let's say that your local network behind this EdgeOS router is 192.168.1 or .10, whatever it is you want to call it, it'll forward the routing tables. It'll advertise that routing table within Wireguard, and then your laptop that's on the internet or somewhere else in the world, when it connects to your Wireguard server, and you can look at other videos I've done about this and explaining how routing works and how you have to deal with a cloud intermediary machine. The routing tables are what allow you to do that communication. Okay, this one is not important. Quite frankly, you could remove this line altogether. This is to open the listing port 51820. You can set that port to whatever you want. If you're using this in a CGNAT, that won't work at all. Okay, and then route allowed true, so it's going to allow routing from within this interface. Let me go ahead and press enter here. Okay, and then now I'm going to add the peer. So this is going to be the machine that this specific EdgeOS device is connecting to. All right. This is the command here, set interface Wireguard WG peer. This is the key for that peer. Again, this is a testing one that I've used. This is where you would add the peer key that you would set up on your other Wireguard server. And then I'm going to put the IP for that machine. So 192.168.1112.6, 51826, 1826. That's what I've decided to use. And again, you choose whatever it is you want to do. Add that in there. And then I'll add the last bit here by cutting and pasting. Okay, so this is after that, we're also loading the configuration key that I had created earlier in the command line here. So this part here. And then we are telling the firewall, again, if you are going to use this as a WireGuard server, you have to open up the UDP port. You want to describe it something. You want to open, you want to set the port number. And this will open this port up so that you guys can do the communication if you're not using a CGNAT. Okay. And let's go ahead and click, type in commit. Let's get like a minute or two, well, a few seconds actually. There we go. So now if I type WG in here, oh, I have to do sudo WG, my apologies. You'll see this is my machine's public key. And it won't show the private key for security reasons. And this is my peer. So that's this guy here. Okay. Now, the reason it's not working right now is because I need to add this public key here to my server so they know to communicate with each other. All right. Before I do that, I'm going to show you guys a few things that I highly suggest you do on a WireGuard server, or even a node. Really, I think it really helps with the keeping that connection alive, especially if you're in a CGNAT. So we're going to go to CD, and we're going to go to the config directory. And you're going to see a file in here called config.boot. This is the file that Ubiquiti EdgeOS devices use when they start up to set up all their config. Okay, so config, because it'll load the stuff into memory. Okay, and then I'm using well, you have to use VI. There's no other editor that I'm aware of that comes in by default with the EdgeOS devices. So for some of you, this might be a little weird. But you need to go down to the part that's talking about WireGuard. So if you do a / and type WG, actually, before I do that, did I do a commit? Let's see here. Yes. So let me do a save. There you go. So it's saving what I had in memory to the config.boot. Now I can go to config.boot and do / WG. There's my config. All right. Everything that was in memory, everything that we saw earlier is now in here. So if we restart the EdgeOS device, it'll load this part of the configuration as well. So this is our peer. Okay. And in here, we want to add a persistent keep alive, and we want to tell it what subnets to allow traffic to and from. Okay, so I'm going to go to this line here where it says endpoint, and then I'm going to press the letter O on my keyboard, and I'm going to go to just to keep it aligned here, I'm going to type persistent dash keep alive 25. I'm going to do enter. I'm going to do one more tab to get in there, align it, and then I'm going to type allowed IPs 10.10.129.0. This is the network that I'm using for my VPN. This is where you would put the IP for your VPN, whatever it happens to be. And I've also chosen a /24. Okay, I'm going to press escape on my keyboard, shift : WG for writing my changes and quitting vim. Okay, so now I have to load my config file again. So it's loaded. Now I need to commit my changes. And we're going to do an WG. Oh, sorry. WG. Sudo WG. And now we have our persistent keep alive. And we see our allowed IPs in here. Now, again, this isn't working yet because I need to add my public key, which is this one here, to my Wireguard server. And I have another YouTube video that shows you how to set up a Wireguard server on Ubuntu. But if you've set it up anywhere else, this is not that different. As the only difference for me is I'm doing it on a CLI. If you're using a Wireguard server on Windows and it's more UI based, you just have to click to that portion of the config file and enter your peer. Okay, so I need to go to that machine. 68.112.6. Okay. This is my test environment. So this is my Wireguard config file. And this is the one I'm using for the specific machine, this entry here. So I'm going to add this public key. Okay. And I'm going to restart the service. I'm using a Docker container for this, but yours doesn't have to be. And if there's enough interest, I can definitely show you how to do this on a container. But anyways, that's done now. So now let's take a look here. Keep forgetting to do this. Oh, so look, it came back on its own. You see down here, it finally realized it can connect. It connected. So if I do sudo WG here, we're getting transfers. Keep alive every 25 seconds. Handshake 8 seconds ago. And if you see down here, this guy started pinging. Now let me show you what this looks like here. If I go to that IP, 10.10.120.3, I'm hitting the EdgeOS device, which is the same IP as what I had here as the WAN IP. So if you see here, 10.10.166, Wireguard 10.10.120.3. If you look here, same thing, 10.10.166. Wireguard 10.10.120.3. And that is in essence how you set up Wireguard on EdgeOS. You can always tweak this a little bit to make it usable for your system. And if you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments. I try to write videos based on the feedback I'm getting. The next video I'm looking to do is how to set up a Wireguard server on Windows. Not what I normally like to do, but there was enough interest that I figured, okay, let's go ahead and do that. So that'll be the next video, and I hope to upload that one a lot quicker than this one. So if you have any questions, like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for watching.